going to invite Seth Kinraid to come forward. Seth is here from Inspiration Point. He shared at our first service. He will again at our second. So.
Perfect. I'm going to start with that.
You didn't clap for me.
It was clapping for you as you transition.
You were clapping because I was done.
I'm going to start without a microphone this morning because I have a little activity to get us started, get the blood flowing, and get us locked in. So if you could stand up, I do have a prize for the winner at the end, just so you know. So I'm going to start off with my 3 favorite camp activities, and I have some motions to do with them. So my first and favorite thing to do at camp is to go rock climbing. We have a 28-foot high rock climbing wall. It's an auto-belay wall. I love rock climbing, but when I get to the top of it, I get a little freaked out sometimes. So this is what I look like when I'm rock climbing. So if you could do that with me, that'd be awesome. Ready? Okay, so that's rock climbing. My second favorite thing to do is to go swimming. However, I am a sinker and not a floater, so when I swim, I look like this. Okay, so I had rock climbing and swimming. And my third and final favorite thing to do at camp is to go canoeing, and when I go canoeing, I look like this. Okay, so my 3 favorite things are rock climbing, swimming, and canoeing. The way that this is going to work, I'm going to eliminate you based on what you pick. And what's going to work, I'm going to face this direction, I'm going to have you face that direction. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. We're going to jump, spin around, and you need to pick one of those 3 poses. If your pose matches my pose, you're out, and you have to sit down. And then we'll keep going until we whittle it down to 1 person. Does that make sense? Okay, we'll do a practice round, and this one's free. So if you're matching, you don't have to go out on this one, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you were canoeing, you'd have to sit down, but that was just practice. Now, for the adults, I might have to say this. Sometimes this is what happens, and so adults, this might be for you too. When I say 1, 2, 3, you can't do a floater until you see what I'm doing and then do something else, because that's cheating, right? Right? The front row agrees with me that's cheating, so make sure you're not cheating, all right? So go ahead and face that way. I'll face this way. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So my canoers have to sit down. If you weren't canoeing, you're still in. All right, face that direction. I'll face this direction. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, so we have a winner. Who's our winner over here? Perfect. All right, so those are 3 of my favorite things. There's lots of very fun things to do at camp, and instead of explaining all of them, I brought another video. It's about 3 minutes long. It'll give you a good idea what camp looks like in the summertime, the activities, the things that go on. It'll give you a glimpse into youth camp and some family camp activities. So we'll go ahead and show that right now.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore.
you a good idea of what camp looks like. I'm going to grab a microphone now, so you can all hear me without having to shout. So that was a little glimpse into what camp looks like in the summertime, the activities that go on, the stuff that happens on that 23-acre peninsula. It's very exciting, and I would love to invite you to that this summer. I have a question. How many of you guys have lockers at school? Okay. When I was in high school, I had a locker between Amanda Kirby and Jared King, and my locker combination was 6260. What do you know about locker combinations? You have 3 numbers, but what's important about that combination? The direction and the sequence that you put in, right? You always have to put in your first number first, so I'd have to go 6 to the right, and then 26, you go left, but you go all the way around, right? And then I'd have to go back to the right and 0. At camp, we kind of have 3 goals. I'm going to throw this down over here. We have 3 goals that we keep in mind as we plan and program our summers. And there's a sequence to them and a particular reason. Our first goal is safety. Safety is the most important thing at camp. When you send your kids to us, we want to make sure that we're returning them to you in the same condition that you gave them to us. So we go way out of our way to make sure your kids are safe at camp. And that starts right now. We started our hiring process back in October, and the reason why we start so early is because we want the cream of the crop for summer staff working at camp. And many of them are in your congregation, and so thank you for loaning them to us for the summer. But we want to hire the best staff, because that's where safety starts. So we go way out of our way to make sure we hire qualified and quality summer staffers. We do thorough background checks, we interview, we check references to make sure we have the cream of the crop. After we have them hired, we want to make sure that they're trained and prepared for the summer. So at camp, we have over 140 hours of training that goes into a summer. And that's just to learn how to be a counselor and to do the necessary things. We also train summer staff to be lifeguards, and that's in addition to the training time. So we have about a third of our staff are trained and certified in CPR and first aid. And we try to make the environment as safe as possible for the kids. So we make sure we're doing activities that are safe. But we also want to make sure that we're protecting kids emotionally as well. So we do our best to set up a culture where that is a safe environment. And in fact, about a third of our senior high kids write on their survey, the reason they come back to camp year after year is because it's a safe place. And for a 10th grade boy to write, the best part of camp is it's safe. It's pretty amazing. It speaks highly of what happens and the culture that the summer staff provide. Schools aren't really a safe place anymore. Social groups, friends, sports. There's so many pressures put on kids, and camp is a place where that's set aside, and it's a safe place for kids just to be kids. And so that's our first goal. Is we know that safety has to be in place before anything else can happen over the course of the summer. The second part of our goal, if safety is the first, we want to have kids have the time of their life when they're at camp. We go way out of our way to make sure camp is a fun environment. We want them to be able to leave the everyday stresses behind and have the time of their life. We've had kids write on their surveys that camp is better than Disney World, that they have more fun, and it's a lot cheaper. So camp is a fun place. We go out of our way to program and plan fun activities. This past year, we added a slingshot range to our peninsula, as well as paddle boards, and that's why we have things like the climbing tower and 9 square in the air and octoball and dodgeball. We want kids to come away and just have a blast being kids. And so we know that safety is our first priority, and that we have to have something fun so that kids can just relax and be themselves. So then we can get to our third and probably most important goal, and that's growth. When kids come to camp, we want them to grow. And so when we plan our summer, we weave the gospel into everything we do. So we get up in the morning and we have what we call first word. So the kids that need to see things, to learn, to have something acted out in front of them, they get to see a funny skit that connects them to the theme of the day, the first introduction to the message of the day. We do Bible studies and koinonia time, which is a fellowship time, for kids that have to be active and learn through doing things. We do adventure course, which is a team building, low ropes challenge course. How many kids have done that before, and is that a highlight for you guys? So We do things like that. We do campfires, we do songs. Everything that we do weaves in the message of the gospel. And so those are our three main goals when you send your kids to camp, is we want to make sure that they're safe, that they're alive and well, and we send them back to you in the condition that you gave them to us. We want to make sure that their week is worth it and they have a blast. And we want to make sure that when we send them home that they've grown while they're at camp. In their faith, in their social skills, just personally, maybe it's stepping out and trying something new that they've never tried before. So those are our three key goals that drive everything we do and the way that we plan and program our summer. And so I want to talk about our summer theme a little bit. Some of you, if you've been to camp before, you know that every year it looks a little bit different. That there's some new decorations around camp. Staff are wearing funny costumes. They all kind of fit the same theme. Last year, our theme was anchored, and we talked about being anchored in God's word and being anchored during the storm. And this year, we're headed way out west again for our theme, branded. We've taken and studied what kids are talking about and the questions that they have, and we've built our theme around that. And the one thing kids want to know is, who am I? What's my identity? And our identity is children of God who are forgiven. That's our brand. It doesn't matter what social media says, what our culture says. God places his stamp on us, and we're forgiven. And that's the brand that we're going on. So this fun, we'll have our cowboy boots on and our cowboy hats, and we'll be donning that a little bit this summer. So we'll have fun with the theme. We're going to bring back our mechanical bull and some other fun activities that will be happening on site. So I encourage you to start thinking about summer now. Like I said in the service earlier today, camps are filling up. We have more kids registered right now for 2015 than we did last year at this time. About 50% more, in fact. And so we're anticipating this to be another big summer. So if camp is something that you're thinking about, I encourage you to start registering early. Also, by registering early, you can take advantage of discounts that we have available. So registrations that are paid in full by April 1st receive a $30 discount. And so that's a significant savings if you get registered early. And I know Mark has a few things to say about how that process works here at Word of Life. But I also want to talk about camp not being just for the summer. A lot of times, September will roll around and people go, so what do you do in the off season? Like, there isn't an off season at camp, there's just a different season. And we have people on site about 210 days of the year, which is more than what a public school has kids in class. And so we're really busy all year long. We have retreats and different opportunities for all age groups. We have a winter family getaway, which is actually coming up next weekend, a family camp in the middle of the winter. There might not be much snow for it, but the ice will be really good for skating. So if that's something your family is thinking about, we'd love to have you. There's space still in that retreat. We have marriage weekends coming up this February that feature the Art of Marriage, which is a curriculum by Family Life. If you're familiar with the Weekend to Remember Getaway. It's the same curriculum, it's just packed into a video series. And so we do that at each of our marriage retreats. There's a women's retreat, some quilting, scrapping retreats this spring. So I would invite you to come check out camp this spring as well as the summer. So I'll pass it back to Mark to tell you about how you can get registered.
I think the last summer we sent about 50 students to camp, not counting families and not counting winter camps and things like that. And we are expecting very much to do the very same this year. We've got a lot of families that do register their kids through us as a church. We've got some families that register completely on your own. If you're one of the families that would like to have us be a part of how we transport your kids, or you need a scholarship, we do ask that you would use this form. You can still use this form and still register your kids completely independent of us, or you can register your kids through us. If you register your kids through us, the deadlines that Seth spoke of, we've got our own deadlines here to turn our stuff in so that we can get our stuff in and honor their deadlines as well. You can see that as you look at the form. We've also got a place where if you're only able to turn in the deposit, we'll work with you on the deposit and we'll cover it until you're able to pay it back or pay it in full as well. There's a place here which also kind of specifies where you add into the fact of gas costs. We collect $25 per family, or per student, I should say. We build that into the form here as well, so you can pay for that ahead of time, or you can pay for that when you bring your kid to church the day of their camp. So if you want to send your kid through camp, you want to use us for transportation purposes, partner with us, you want to take advantage of scholarships, that's something that needs to happen for you to send your kids to camp. We want to make that happen, and we just ask if you would use this form, and you can see the deadlines that are on it, and know that the last deadline is basically at the end of April, early May. That's when we need to have these all turned in. That's when we want, so that our people that are coordinating rides can do the work of coordinating the rides and making sure we've got enough rides. So if you want to partner with us, this form is available as you exit the sanctuary as well. You can also see that there's a big bulletin board that's set up. It's on an easel. It's got all the dates of camp. We know that families want to know what are the dates that their kids' friends are going to go on to as well. So if you are registering your kid through camp through us or on your own, if you could write up your name of your child on that board as well, that'll help lots of other families as they try to figure out which camp to send their kid to. So, you're good? I'm good if you're good. High school.